Bojack Horseman Season 5 was an emotional roller coaster that I wanted to keep riding. This season blew me away and can't be topped by any other. There were many points of this season that very much emotionally resonated with me. And here are my top 5. Also, warning, there are a lot of spoilers, so if you're planning on watching Season 5 or you just haven't gotten to it yet, don't watch this video. My first one is Diane's breakdown in episode 2. Now, she was just recently divorced, but she asked Mr. Peanut Butter, her ex-husband, for the divorce. And now she's heartbroken with her decision. We see her not being able to move on. Her character shows how hard it is to get over someone you truly loved and cared about. And many people can relate to this, and those going through this heartbreak are able to cry with her and just feel valid about how they're feeling. Her character also reveals how some people handle heartbreak. They flee, like how she went to Vietnam, and they just try to forget that everything happened. And after being in Vietnam, she believes that she has forgotten and is over him. But we see that she kept in contact with him, so it's hard to lose feelings and truly get over someone who you constantly talk to. When she's back, she sees Mr. Peanut Butter, her ex-husband, with his new girlfriend, doing the affectionate things he used to do to her, and it breaks her heart again in a different way. And I feel like we've all been there. We've all seen our ex do something with their new girl or their new guy, and it just makes you sad because they used to do that to you and now they never will again. My second moment that emotionally resonated with me is Princess Carolyn's backstory in episode 5. Now, she didn't have much hope because of her situation. She was poor and she had a bunch of siblings, so her mom couldn't afford very much. Speaking of her mom, she was very controlling and she tried to figure out what she wanted to do with her life, but her mom said no, and her mom blamed her for a lot of her downfalls. But eventually she found a better life and she moved out and she went to LA and she made a job for herself. And this moment just shows that there's hope in dark times, and that even if your parents blame all their baggage on you, it's not your fault and you can get out of it and get away and find a new life and a better life. My absolute favorite moment in this show, well, episode technically, is episode 6, the free churro episode. Now, just for some backstory, Bojack's mom has just died and he's giving her eulogy at the funeral. And basically, this whole entire episode is just a 24-minute long eulogy, just constant dialogue. And this gets into a lot of his emotional trauma from his childhood. We see in the opening scene that his dad did not really like him and was very verbally abusive, and his mom often forgot about him, and he just really wasn't loved as a child. We're shown that his mom never showed him that she loved him, and he realized that he could never rely on his parents, and he always looked for big gestures, and he even told a fake happy story because that's how he wished his childhood was. And because he never saw that validation or just show of love, the big gesture is never enough. And he states that you have to show that you're enough constantly, and it's exhausting, but many people have this standard because of their childhood. He also says that you can't pin significance on everything. We can't overanalyze and overthink, and I'm definitely a culprit of that because I do that literally every day. And this is so relatable because so many of us are just not traumatized, but shaped by the problems that have happened in our childhood. One of my absolute favorite moments in this episode is when he describes his relationship with his parents. He states that his mom and dad were all drowning, and they didn't know how to save each other, but they understood that they were all drowning. And he states that sometimes you can swim, mostly you're drowning. And I don't know why, but this really resonated with me because a lot of people, and even my friends, were trying to save each other, but we have to save ourselves before we save other people, and most often we don't do that. So nothing good ever comes of it. This episode shows us that Bojack was truly his parents' punching bag, and he just wanted that validation, and it's very sad because he never got it because both of his parents are dead now. The fourth moment that resonated with me was Mr. Peanut Butter during episode 8, the Halloween episode. We see truly how Mr. Peanut Butter never grows up, so all his relationships never work because the women become mature, but Mr. Peanut Butter stays the same fun, happy guy who doesn't like responsibility. And we see that he never deals with any emotional trauma, and he's just happy all the time. He always pushes it down and just continues forward. He sees his problems, but he doesn't fix them. And like I said, he just constantly moves on without going through sadness. The last moment that I'm going to be talking about is Bojack's downward spiral in episode 11 and 12. Now, we've all felt helpless trying to do anything to ease the pain that we're going through life, and sometimes we just want to be numb. And we see Bojack using pain medication and alcohol in order to do this, but this time his addiction gets much worse. Throughout the episode, we see that Bojack's reality and his TV show Filbert mix, and it's heartbreaking to watch if you've ever had someone struggling with addiction, because this just gives insight into how muddled things can truly be and how people don't really have control of what they're doing when they're addicted on something. And all this leads up to him almost choking his girlfriend Gina, and I held my breath during the scene because it was so real. Even though it's an animated TV show, all the emotions are real, like all the feelings are real. Everything is so genuine and just real life and very human-like, even though it's animated. And this is why this show is so good, and I believe that everyone should watch this show, because a piece of you can be found in every character, and you can relate and just see your life but through a screen, and it's amazing, honestly. But yeah, those are my top 5 emotional moments that resonated with me, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.